everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Talking Tongue, the weekly show where I get to connect with my friends near and far to talk about the shit that matters. Pop culture news, baby. Movies, video games. That's about it. We don't really try to touch the other darker stuff in the world. Pandemic? What's that? I don't need that. We don't need that. Today we have a very special guest person who, you know, they're just, I don't know how to describe them. Let's see. Lover of McDonald's, lover of bad magical girl games.
Bad?
Well, isn't that game canceled soon? I don't know.
Dare you? We did not talk about that.
Okay. I'm sorry. Let's see. The blue blur herself. I'm talking about a Sonic the Hedgehog reference for those of you who don't know. Whitney Chen. Hello.
Hello, Tuong.
Hello. You know, a lot of my guests, when they enter the show, they sound a lot more excited to talk to me, where that was a little bit more, not as excited. Let's get that one more time. Whitney Chen, everyone. Okay, well, now that just feels forced.
I don't know, Tuong. Considering that you and I have to talk every single day.
Yes, we do.
The excitement, if there was any initially, has already worn off long ago. So
this is what I like about you, Whit, is that you don't have to pretend you like me. You just tell it as it is, and that's what we need today on today's episode. Because later in the episode, we're going to talk about some stuff that is controversial in some senses, but we'll get there when we get there. Before we get there, though, Whit, we have to talk about who you are, because some people have never heard your voice in the PodCavern before. You're a fresh blood.
Oh, so boy.
Tell us who you are and how you've been handling the pandemic and, what keeps you happy these days.
Oh, God. I feel like I'm at a job interview, to be honest.
Yeah, you are.
To be honest. Hi, everyone. My name is Whitney, also known as Whit or Winnie online. I really like video games. I don't know where to start.
Is this how you actually interview for jobs?
No, this is not a job interview.
You don't know that. I could be offering you the keys to the PodCavern afterwards. Who knows?
Well, even if it was, I don't know if it's a job I would want.
Yeah. Also, why would the PodCavern have keys? It's a cave.
Exactly.
You like video games? Okay. What kind of video games do you like? So this is something that keeps you happy during the pandemic. Totally. Playing video games. So, what type of games do you play?
So right now I'm really into Animal Crossing. Animal Crossing New Horizons.
We know about Animal Crossing on this
show. I'm sure everyone does. If you haven't heard of Animal Crossing yet, you live under a rock, I think.
Yeah. Also, I think every single week that this show has been airing since the pandemic, I've been like, okay, so this week in Animal Crossing, I did this. It should just be an Animal Crossing show. Anyways, continue. Animal Crossing, what else?
Animal Crossing. And earlier this year, before the pandemic started, I started playing Breath of the Wild. So I finished in March, but oh my gosh, Breath of the Wild and Legend of Zelda fans in general are so well fed. You guys have so much content, so much media. I am so jealous.
You don't have to be jealous. You're one of us now. You're one of us.
That's true. So I've been really enjoying a lot of fan fiction, a lot of AMVs and game music videos, watching battle montages on YouTube and fan art. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
That's amazing. That's yes, you like all the things that I like. It sounds like video games, hanging out, fan fictions. I don't read any, to be honest with you. But my sister used to write a bunch. I think I've told you that before. Final Fantasy VII fan fictions, and I just remember her telling me that a bunch of horny teenagers used to be like, oh my God, what happens next? Tell us about Aerith and Cloud and what they're going to do to each other. I'm like, what are you writing?
Oh my God, that sounds accurate.
I'm like, why are you writing this? But I mean, I guess that's how Twilight got made. So whatever. That's awesome, Wit. So you love spending your time doing that. I also hear a little birdie of mine. I guess you told me
Oh,
this, but you like to watch K drama. Is that right?
I like to watch K dramas from time to time, but it's not one of my main hobbies.
I want to just break the wall here. Wit, didn't you just say like not too long ago? Wit and I talk to each other every day. We have to work with each other. But Wit, didn't you just say that you stayed up till like an ungodly hour in the morning to like binge watch a K drama this one time or two times or more?
I did.
I thought you said that. I mean, like maybe you forgot because you stay up till like 6 a.m. every day.
Oh my god,
But
please, people do not need to know. Well, I guess
uh,
it's not hard to figure that out anyways. There was one drama that I marathoned recently, maybe not until the early hours of the night, but
yeah.
considering how little I watch K-dramas, that
Hmm.
was a pretty good drama.
Can you tell the people at home what it was before we move on?
Yeah, so in terms of dramas that binged recently and dramas that I'd like to recommend, there are two of them. So the first one that I'd like to rec is called Hotel Del Luna, and it's around 16 episodes, and each episode is typical K drama length, which is like an hour and 15 minutes.
Oh my god, that's typical K drama length.
Yeah, they're
What?
pretty long. They can be
Jesus, that's like a
very long.
movie.
I guess,
uh,
yeah, you're right.
wow.
But yeah, so in Hotel Del Luna, it's pretty interesting because when I think of K dramas, I tend to think of like the typical cheesy ones, which is why I like kind of fell out of watching them because I can't
Hmm.
handle that stuff. But
You're
Hotel
you're
Del
scared of
Luna,
feelings and stuff. That's why you stay away from K dramas because they get too real.
no, it's not that they're too real. It's that some of them are so freaking cringy and
Okay,
so
okay. Now,
unrealistic.
yeah.
But Hotel Del Luna has a very interesting premise. So it's about this young lady, and she's not human, but she's not dead either. And
What?
yeah, and she's been
Okay.
tasked with running this hotel where the guests are people that have died recently and need somewhere to stay before they move on to the afterlife.
Okay.
Mhm.
Wow, this is way more than I thought it would be.
Yeah,
So there's like some spiritual fiction, obviously fictional, if
yeah,
it's going to
yeah.
talk about stuff like that. Ah, that's interesting.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a very supernatural drama. Of course, there is a romance as well, but the
Of
romance is
course.
not like cringy or it is cheesy, but it's like the good kind of cheesy.
Okay, I
Yeah.
believe that.
Mhm.
I like cheese when it's done right,
Yeah,
I
and the
guess.
characters, there's no like insufferable or like overly moronic characters. I think the cast is pretty mature in the way that they like act and their motivations and stuff. So
Hmm.
it makes it nice to watch.
Okay.
Hmm.
Well, you heard it here first, people. If you don't know K dramas, now you do. Now you have one to watch, and you let Wit know, or let me know, and I'll tell Wit if what your opinions are.
Oh yeah,
We'll see.
I would love to watch or like discuss Hotel Del Luna with
One, we
other
should have just done an
watchers.
episode on that today, but hey, I that sounds long. It sounds like it would be
Hmm.
16 hours of my life plus more. It
Yeah,
sounds,
yeah.
yeah, okay. Well, Wit, we're not going to talk about K drama today. We're going to talk about something else. But before that is time for the news section of Talking Tongue, where we talk about pop culture news that happened through the week. This is exciting in the sense that a lot of weeks it has a lot to do with TV shows and movies. And I know you don't watch too many movies and you don't watch too many TV shows that are not K dramas, I guess, or the occasional anime. But you're not really. It's not your jam to watch, I guess, the newest and hottest, let's say, westernized TV show. Am I correct?
Yeah, you're correct. It is not.
Right. But you know what it is from a distance, but you don't really interact with it.
Yeah, I hear of
Yeah.
like shows that are really popular, like Black Mirror, and I was gonna say Westworld, but I guess that hasn't been airing for a while. or
No, it
like it's
has been
gone?
apparently. I mean,
Okay.
oh, this is bad. Maybe this takes away my TV cred, but I have
Oh,
also never watched Westworld. But I also hear it gets worse, so I guess I'm not missing
yeah,
anything.
that sounds pretty typical from most shows, to be
Yeah.
honest.
Yeah, it was one of those shows when it first came out. Everyone's like, "You've got to fucking watch Westworld. Is like the best thing in the world." And then like season two hit, and they're like, "Okay, season two is not as good as season one, but season three is gonna be something."
Oh
And then
boy.
season three hits, and people are like, "Oh, the first like two episodes are good. Oh, now it's bad." So
Yikes.
looks like I'm not missing much. Anyways, the news of the week is very video game centric, actually.
Ooh,
So this is kind of in your wheelhouse because you like video games.
I love
This is
video
your jam.
games.
Okay, so I might be talking about video games that you don't care about, but that's okay.
It's okay. I can still be enthusiastic.
Okay, great. This is the right energy we want for you. um, I haven't actually talked about this in Talking Tongue yet because this has been an ongoing battle. And the guests that I've had in the past, I had a feeling they weren't as tapped into video games as you are. But here we go. I want to talk about the recent Fortnite kerfuffle that's been happening on the Apple App Store. Are
Ooh.
you familiar?
Yeah, actually, I have heard of this.
Yeah, for those of you who don't know, it's a whole thing. Now, Fortnite's the biggest game in the world in the last like 3 years, and it continues to be. I've still not played a second of it, but
Same.
it's hard to, not hear about this game. Like every kid has played it essentially. But the short end of it is Fortnite was basically kind of wanting a bigger cut because Apple takes like 30% of the revenue of any publisher who puts their game on the App Store. That's the short of it. Now, the thing is that Fortnite, they did something that basically intentionally breached their contract, which was telling people to go through like their own website to purchase in-game like items and costumes and that kind of stuff.
Oh, I thought they actually built something into like the App Store apps.
Yeah, I think there was like two versions of it. And in any case, it was the money going straight to Fortnite instead of Apple,
Yeah.
which is a complete breach of their contract. And they were ready for this. They had like this Apple bash ad that they created. They had like
What?
a lawsuit. Yeah, they created like the 1984 Apple commercial made by Ridley Scott, but in Fortnite. And it was basically trying to be like, oh, the man is trying to crush us, blah,
Oh
blah,
my
blah.
gosh.
It was
I
a
did
whole
not hear
like
about this.
it's super cringy. The problem with this whole kerfuffle, I think, maybe I'm jumping ahead, is that I think Fortnite has, or Epic rather, they have a really good point where Apple takes a lot of money out of their publishers, and this could help the small person. But they've been really immature the way they've been handling it, I think,
Ooh.
down to making the bashing videos, down to like intentionally breaching the contract, down to
Yeah.
like having a lawsuit ready to go and being very like weird about it. Like right away, they were the ones trending like bring back Fortnite or whatever the hashtag was. But it's like you guys took it away. That was the weird part. Is the publisher was the one who was like, oh yeah, we're starting this hashtag even though we intentionally broke this contract. Have you
Mm.
heard this?
I've heard a little bit of it. I didn't know that Fortnite was the one that pulled, or sorry, Epic was the one that pulled Fortnite from the Apple store. I thought
So
that they
app
were like taken
yeah.
down.
Yeah, Apple did take it down. So like Fortnite wanted to make a bigger move, and it's still ongoing, and it seems to be ongoing for months and months, or for months to come rather. And Apple ultimately took down Fortnite's app, but they weren't able to take down, which they wanted to do, the entire Epic engine or Unreal engine off of the Apple's App Store, which is crazy because a lot of games use the Unreal engine to run their games.
Yeah, I'm surprised
So
they want to do that.
yeah, that would have been a no go. The judges ruled against that, but they
Mhm.
did take down Fortnite. Now I think it might have come back to some capacity. This is how much I care about Fortnite, is I don't know for sure. But the
Same.
news article from IGN is that Epic Games asks the court once more to reinstate Fortnite to Apple's App Store, which I guess that means it's gone, after daily iOS players dropped by over 60%. Uh,
Wow.
Now, that sounds like a lot, and it is, but here's the context is iOS, which is super surprising, is the biggest platform for Fortnite players with over 116 million users.
Like of the game?
Yeah.
Like there's more iOS players than PC players?
Yep. Isn't
Wow,
that nuts? I had
that
no
is
idea.
insane. I
All
didn't know
right.
that. I don't know. I guess in my head, I still have this image of mobile gaming and like shitty games on the App Store.
Oh, me too.
But I guess
Yes.
it's gotten so much better since then.
Well, yeah, I mean, you get to play Fortnite. Like every kid growing up now has like an iPad or an iPhone, right?
Yeah, that's
So
true.
if they can use their shitty touch controls, and they're good at it too somehow,
Oh,
um,
yeah.
and or like they can get like a Bluetooth controller to go and pair up with the iPad or something like that,
Right.
then I mean that's pretty easy barrier to entry if they
Mhm.
have it, and I guess most players did. So yeah, this is I just found it very surprising, really.
Wait, so we've only talked about the Apple App Stores so far, but didn't Google also do something similar
Yes.
to their Play
So
Store?
yeah, Google was also, but they're much more quiet about it. Apple was definitely the ones they were
Oh,
targeting with their hashtag free Fortnite campaign, which is bleh. So
interesting.
yeah, it's a complicated one because I also don't want to be like, oh yeah, Apple. I mean, I have a bunch of Apple products, but obviously they charge a lot of money and stuff like
Hmm.
that, especially from their publishers. It'd be a good thing if they gave a bigger cut to the people who put stuff on their stores, but I mean, they basically bit the hand that fed them by a lot. So obviously they're getting bashed on because they handled it pretty immaturely, I think. So
Yeah, so I mean, I guess you're the one who's supposed to be asking me the questions, Tongue,
sure,
but
yeah, please.
what do you think is gonna happen next? Like, do you think Epic Games is gonna bite? Like, they're gonna fold and put Fortnite back on the iOS store?
It's a very good question because at the same time, Fortnite is such a big money maker
Yeah.
that we don't know, right? Like, I mean, Apple has other ways to make money, but Fortnite is a video game, and that's all they are. It's a
Mhm.
video game, and they also run. I mean, Epic runs their own like gaming online platform store and stuff like that. But Fortnite was where the money is, so we'll
Yeah.
see. I also part of me is more interested in on an educational standpoint, but I really don't care about Fortnite. So there you go.
No, I agree with you. And I think that it's interesting because this has never happened before. So what happens now is going to be the precedent for what happens in the future, right?
That's right. That's right. And if there was any game to go toe to toe with Apple, it's this one. So
Hmm.
we'll see what happens. Let's move on to more gaming stories, and then we'll switch to like some TV fluff and stuff like that I'm sure you've heard of by now. But let's talk about some other big stuff, which is the Xbox Series S and X, which is super confusing. Um, Microsoft has released the price points for the Series S and X, which is their new generation of Xbox coming out in November.
Wow,
Did you see
that's
these
soon.
prices, Wit?
No, I actually have not heard anything about the Xbox recently. So what is the difference between these two models?
Oh man, it's okay. I'm not gonna go. I have the tech sheet in front of me, but I'm gonna go with the most
Give me a
interesting
high
stuff.
level
The high level
explanation.
stuff is the X is the Pro model, and the S is the like your standard model. Let's compare it to like the iPhone SE versus the iPhone 11. That's probably the best way to think about it.
I see.
Running the same software, but the 11 iPhone 11 would run like stuff better. It just
Yeah,
looks better. It's just a more powerful thing.
better
And the
hardware and stuff, right?
100%. Yeah. So the high level stuff is the X was released the price point at 499 USD, which is pretty good. I mean, it's still going to come to like 600 bucks Canadian,
Yeah.
but here's the big one is the Xbox Series S. Now we're talking about a new generation console here is $299 US, which is
Interesting.
very, very cheap for a new console, if you think about that.
Is it just me, or does it seem like they're trying to compete with the Switch?
Um, that's a good question. I'm not sure. I like it, for me, it's always been Xbox versus PlayStation, which I
Yeah.
also don't care about console wars. I think they're dumb. I hope all gaming is a healthy competition kind of thing, but here we are. No, I don't. I don't think they're competing against the Switch as much as they're competing with the PlayStation. Now, the big difference between the two is it's crazy because the Series S, I'm like boring everyone because everyone at home usually is used to TV shows and movie shows, but not this week, guys. We have Whitney in the house. We're gonna talk about video games.
Oh yeah, blame it on me, huh?
Yeah, no, this is exciting because I never get to talk about this stuff. Is the Series S is it will still run games at 1440p at 120 FPS. It all supports DirectX ray tracing and 4K upscaling for games. It has the exact same, I think it's the exact same CPU, if I'm not mistaken, as the Series X. So the S and the X have the same like main CPU, which is fucking nuts.
Wow.
Yeah. The only other difference is storage size and like the 4K, and there's like a Blu-ray player and the Series X and that kind of stuff. But I found that really fascinating, really.
Do you think more people will buy the S
Um,
or the X?
I think like people who are on the fence will buy the S,
Mm.
because I see it as like a parent friendly thing, right? If you're a parent and your kid wants the new Xbox, then you're gonna get them the one that's the cheaper one,
Yeah,
probably, right? Like
sure.
it plays the same games. It still looks good. I mean, like we're in 2020, and honestly, I still have a 1080p TV, and I don't give a shit about 4K right now.
Yeah, same.
you know so it's one of those things where I probably do that one. The only other thing is that like the Series S has a 512 gigabyte hard drive, whereas the Series X has a 1 terabyte. uh, and you know how big games are these days,
Wow.
and if the Series S is digital only, you're looking at like one Call of Duty game that's going to take up the entire storage of the Series S. So it's a weird thing.
Wow, that is nuts.
Right. Let's go into something that I think you will want to talk about a lot.
Oh
A
boy.
lot. You know what I'm talking about.
I think I do.
I mean, I should save this to later, but I think I want to like front load the video game stuff and before we get to other stuff. Okay, Wit, tell me how excited you are about Hyrule Warriors.
Oh my god, I'm so excited. I
Age of
haven't even
Calamity.
played the first one,
Uh-huh.
but
This is your moment to shine. I want you to tell the people what it is and why you're so excited about
oh
it.
my god, I don't even know where to start. So basically, Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity is the latest Breath of the Wild game that's set to be coming out in November. And it's really exciting because even though there was a Hyrule Warriors, like one, I guess,
Hmm.
this Hyrule Warriors is not a sequel to that one, but it is a prequel to Breath of the Wild. So
Yeah. And
even
we've already established in this episode that you fucking love Breath of the Wild.
yes, yes, I do. I think even though I have never played a Legend of Zelda game before Breath of the Wild, and even though I've been a Sonic fangirl for my entire life, I think I can say that Breath of the Wild is my favorite video game ever.
Oh my
Yeah,
God. And you love Sonic. Like
yeah.
everyone, people at home, you got to know this. Whitney has multiple Sonic figures,
Oh my gosh.
t-shirts, Christmas sweaters. I don't know. What else do you have,
I
Whit?
had a mug before I broke it.
Oh no, you broke it. Damn
Yeah,
it.
unfortunately. But it
Anyways,
wasn't
you love
built to
Sonic.
last.
Yeah. But
Um,
you love Hyrule, sorry, not Hyrule Warriors. You love Breath of the Wild even more. So this is a big deal.
yeah. And I think it's super exciting because, well, first of all, Nintendo did a great job hiding this from everyone because everyone is so focused on the Breath of the Wild sequel, which was
Hmm.
announced last
I
year.
don't know. Was it
I think
last
I
year?
think
Oh
it
my
was
God.
last year. Yeah, right?
Feels like ages
I
ago, but
know,
I
right?
really don't know. I think we had a discussion about this. I think you're right. I think it was last year, but it
Yeah.
feels like 2 years at least.
Actually, I was thinking, oh, was it earlier this year? Time is weird.
Oh my God. What
Anyway,
what is time?
anyways, yeah. So everyone has been focused on that no one thought that wow we would be getting a prequel instead. And the thing with Breath of the Wild is the gameplay is amazing, but the story is a little sparse. And because it's an open world game, the story got mixed reviews because some people were saying, "Oh, like there's so little that we know, and like the story doesn't make sense if you encounter the memories like
Right,
out of order
right.
and stuff." So it's really
I
exciting that
yeah.
we get to see more of what happened before the events in Breath of the Wild and the events before. I guess I can spoil it because it's not really a spoiler, but
Okay.
the events before Link dies.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
I hear it. Yeah.
at the start of Breath of the Wild.
That's like the beginning of the game. So
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
like it's not really a spoiler. Yeah, yeah.
But yeah,
Um
and I think it's
that's
so cool that we, because there's other characters too aside from Link. There's Zelda, of course, and then you
mhm,
have the four champions that each represent one of the other races in
mhm.
Hyrule Kingdom. So it's really cool that we'll get to learn more about them and like their backstories. Because I think people are speculating that in the trailer, one of the cutscenes or clips is of
Mhm.
Link fighting Rivali, who
Oh,
hates
right.
Link's god or
He's the
considers him
bird-looking
a rival.
dude,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
in
Who looks
case
like
anyone doesn't.
Falco. Yeah.
Right. Wow. You sound very excited for this, Wit.
Oh,
I am
I'm
excited for
so
you. I
excited. Chong,
I
if you don't tell me to shut up and you want me not to comment, I could talk about this forever. Like,
Eh, you could see with the well, Wit texted me right before I started working that day, and just all caps telling me about Breath of the Wild. I'm like, I'll watch it later. And for the rest of the day, it seemed like she was pretty checked out mentally. Like she was
I
more
was
focused on her excitement for. No, that's not a bad thing. Not a bad thing. I could tell you were very excited for this game, which I am excited for you. I'm curious about it. I think it looks cool. I don't love the Dynasty Warrior stuff, but I hear they've been doing way better with giving this style of gameplay to like Zelda, Fire Emblem, that kind of stuff.
mm-hmm. That's
Yeah.
what I've heard too. And I mean, maybe for me, I've never played hack and slash games before. So I think for me, it's like a brand new experience. It's exciting. But I did hear that the previous game was like easy to beat and stuff.
Hmm.
But the person who also said that to me is like kind of a pro gamer. So
Oh, okay. What's a pro gamer these days, anyways? How can we trust this person? I don't know.
true, true,
Uh,
true.
I'm excited. Hopefully, it's a lengthy campaign, and it is what people want it to be. And honestly, the fucking key artwork looks amazing. So, like,
Hmm.
I'd be down to. It actually just made me want to play Breath of the Wild again, which is great. All right, Wit, we're gonna move on to. I know you want to talk about this for the rest of the show, but we won't. We'll move on to like two more stories here before we get into the meat of the episode,
Okay.
which is actually no. Let's go with a couple light ones here. We're just gonna say that the Dune trailer dropped, and I know you don't care about Dune, but Timothy Chalamet is on it, which we have a mutual friend who loves Timothy Chalamet.
That's the only
Do you,
reason I know about him.
yeah, did you watch the trailer, or do you know anything about Dune?
I have no idea what Dune is.
That's okay. I've watched the original movie and the new trailer, and I still don't know. So let's move on. The new trailer looks great, I guess. There's a lot of cool actors in it, and
Is
it
it
looks way more intriguing.
action? A comedy? What genre
No,
is it?
definitely not comedy. Sci-fi.
Oh,
Yeah, sci-fi. It's pretty serious. There's
is it like a thriller?
no,
Oh,
it's the original Dune is so much different than this new Dune. So
I'll
I
look it up
just
after.
yeah, look it up. I don't think this movie's for you. I'll tell you that.
Is it really
So,
gory?
no, I just think it's too sci-fi heady, probably.
Like like Interstellar sci-fi? Because I enjoyed Interstellar.
No, like we're talking about like creating your own races and like talking about like sci-fi politics within the world. We're talking about like obscure creatures and like I don't know. I'm not sure if this one's for you, but maybe you can prove me wrong. I'm not sure.
Interesting.
Timothy Chalamet's in there. Maybe
Well,
you'll love it.
I will say that I generally don't have high standards for anything. So,
Hmm.
like, I'm a pretty easy person to please, and I'm pretty open-minded, so
Okay.
I would be down to give it a watch with friends, but I wouldn't go out of
Yeah.
my way to watch it.
Right, right. Yeah, okay. Maybe we'll watch it together. We'll
Oh,
see. We'll see.
Zendaya's in it.
Zendaya is in it. Yeah, there's a lot of good actors in it
Okay, I
for
have to
sure. It has
watch
a
it.
killer cast. Oh, Zendaya was the thing. Zendaya was the thing that immediately is like, oh, maybe I'll like this. Oh,
Yeah, she's
Zendaya. Okay.
incredible.
We're gonna go into a fun little story here, and that is Jelly Belly. You know the jelly beans.
Huh?
Yeah, the Jelly Belly's founder is on his way to become a real life Willy Wonka after announcing a golden ticket competition, much like Willy Wonka. And basically, the founder is essentially retiring and doing the whole Willy Wonka thing, where they're launching a golden ticket competition where one winner will receive their very own candy factory, and other winners will receive $5,000. So
Interesting.
I just think it's hilarious that someone's actually doing the thing.
I'm actually surprised no one has done the thing before this.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like from here, it's not like you get to own Jelly Belly after. You
Oh
just
yeah,
own one of the factories after, which is like, wait a second, you're just giving me a job and responsibility,
that's still kind of wild though. I
right?
mean, like, how does that even work? I imagine that they would want someone like they wouldn't just give it to anyone, because then it
Yeah,
might
yeah,
go under. So,
right. Yeah, I don't know. I just thought that was fun, but we'll
mhm.
see. Maybe we can own a factory together. Wit, we'll see.
um,
Uh, Actually, you know what? You're fired.
excuse me, bitch. You mean you're
Oh,
fired?
oh my god! Oh my god! The guns are out. I promise I'll work harder. I promise. Don't fire me, please. Borat 2 is filmed and reportedly filmed and basically ready to be, or it has been screened to people.
Oh wow,
So, yeah, it might come out this year.
wow.
And, right? Did you ever watch the original Borat?
No,
But you know Borat. Like,
like
Borat was
I've
like a,
I've heard of the movie.
no way. You must have heard like the cultural phenomenon. My wife. No, none
No.
of that. Oh my god, I've met someone who's never seen Borat. This is nuts. That's okay. Wait, Borat 2 is coming. I don't even know if Borat 1 holds up, to be honest with you. I saw it like twice. Maybe we'll see how this goes.
Can you watch the second one without having to watch the first one?
Well, it's not out yet, so I can't answer that
Oh,
question.
great, great, great. Well, how about you watch it and let me know?
I'll let you know. I'll also let you know about The Walking Dead is ending after a season 11.
Wow.
Did you ever watch this show ever?
I did not, but I played a bit of the game.
Oh, much different. Much
Yeah, it
different.
is different.
Yeah. The game is much better.
Oh,
But I mean, people have very mixed things about Walking Dead, and like I stuck through it up until halfway through season 6, and I'm like, fuck it, I'm out. Um, it definitely had its ups and downs, and I don't know. I don't know where it's at these days. I just can't believe the show is finally ending with an asterisk, because there are like 3 spin-offs already.
oh, what? Spin
Yep,
like
there's
movies or
TV shows.
oh my gosh.
And or I want to, maybe I'm exaggerating. I feel like there's 2 spin-off TV series besides the original, and also the even after season 11 ends, 2 characters from the main series are getting their own
Oh
spin-off.
my gosh.
Um, what's his name? The person Andrew Lincoln, who played Rick Grimes, the main character in the almost the entire series, who also left the show, is
Oh,
also getting his own Walking Dead movies. So
really
Walking Dead's here.
milking this for what it's not even worth now.
I don't know. I guess people still fucking love it because obviously they have enough money to make all the shows. So
True.
yeah, not for me. Not for
Yeah,
me.
that's
Yeah,
too much.
yeah, definitely. And I think that's basically it. I will say, if you don't know this, Diana Riggs, who played most famous these days as Lady Olenna Tyrell from Game of Thrones. She was also Emma Peel in The Avengers from the 1960s. Very famous actress. I saw her on Broadway on My Fair Lady, has passed away. She passed away with friends and family. She was like age 83, I want to say. I could
Oh,
get be wrong,
wow.
but yeah. Did you ever watch Game of Thrones, Whip?
I actually did. Not the
So
whole thing, but I know
do you
who
know
you're
who I'm talking
talking
about?
about.
Yeah, she's unfortunately has passed away, but it seems like she had a very successful life and it wasn't under anything
Yeah,
tragic, you know?
that's good.
Yeah, yeah. You know what else is good? Is our movie of the week? We'll see. We'll see. This will be a whole conversation. Wait, do you want to lob up or volley the what we're talking about today?
No, not really.
Okay, okay,
I'm
great.
kidding. I can do it. Um, so the movie that we're talking about this week is it centers on a girl, and it is based off of a classic, a Disney classic to be
Mm-hmm.
exact. And this girl, for most of the movie, actually is not positioned as a girl, but as a boy. And
Mm-hmm.
the story centers around how she goes off to war to fight in place of her old father. It's Mulan.
When they find out who you are, they will show you no mercy. I'm Hua Mulan. I will bring honor to us all.
We're talking about Mulan, everybody.
Mhm.
Everybody's favorite movie, Mulan. This is a long time coming. I mean, Mulan has. It's also based on a poem, I believe, too. So the Disney animated version was based off on a poem, and then this one is closer to the poem, but also draws inspiration from the animated classic. There's a lot to say about this movie, and we'll definitely get into all of that periphery stuff that I know people are curious about. But let's start off with just like the general stuff. So, like with Mulan, this movie was delayed forever. Like it was
Mhm.
supposed to release in March. We've been talking about it several times on Talking Tongue episode, week to week to week. It just seemed to be delayed forever when Disney Plus was finally like, give us $30 and you'll get to see it 3 months earlier than everybody else before we release it on Disney Plus for good. We were one of the people who paid $30 for it, and I let's talk about before we get into like all the stuff surrounding the movie because we will. Let's talk about your general thoughts of the movie. How did you
Um,
like the movie, Wit?
sure. Well, first of all, maybe uh I was gonna say I did not pay $30.
Okay, well,
I'd just like to
let's just say
clarify
that.
that. But I did not
Let's also
pirate
say
it either.
yes. I was gonna say you did not pirate it. It was just through something that you didn't know you had.
Yeah, through the Rogers Smart TV programming. Which
Right. Okay, good. In case people are like, okay, well, this person's clearly a pirate. So, no. But yeah, Wit, let's talk about did you enjoy the movie?
I did enjoy
And
the movie, but again, I have low standards for everything, so take that with a grain of salt.
no, you shouldn't downplay yourself. I think this is really great for like people who just, I think like a lot of people who like movies, like myself, are a little too obsessive about, you know, all the periphery stuff around a movie and like, look too
Mhm.
deep into movies when maybe some movies don't need to be like examined through that type of lens.
That's fair.
Uh, it makes me miss. I said this to somebody. I miss the time when I was a kid. I wish I could time travel back to when I was a kid. When I watched a movie and I only watched the movie for what it was and not
Mhm.
all the stuff surrounding it,
That's
because
deep.
that poisons the mind in a
Yeah.
lot of ways, which we'll get to. But your general thoughts of the movie is you liked it.
I did. Yeah, it was I mean, I wasn't even expecting to watch it. So when my parents because it was at my parents' house, when they said, "Oh, Mulan's playing on the TV." I was like, "Excuse me?" Yeah, and then we sat down and watched it together, and
Amazing.
we all liked it.
So you've never watched the original, correct?
I think I have, but I watched it when I was young, and time passes. Um,
Mhm.
Things when you're young, you don't really remember, or you don't remember the way it actually happened, right? So I
Right,
think I have a high level like idea of how the original animation went.
right. So you don't really have like that good of a baseline to be like, was this better than the original film or Disney animated films rather compared to this one, right? Like you had a pretty blank slate coming into this one, I would say, right?
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, in the original, I remember, of course, like Mushu was there, and then they had all the songs, which are iconic in their own right.
Yep.
But yeah, and I remember some other like story differences, but I wouldn't be able to say like, oh, like in the animation, this made me feel like better
Right,
or whatever,
right.
you know?
I think it's interesting. I mean, like this is. Let's bring up. Okay, I'll go. I'm all over the place here. I'll say my general thoughts, and
Sure.
I would say I really liked the film. I really did. I think it was the most original live action film they've had yet. I mean, original. Let's just say with an asterisk as well. But let's just say they didn't make a carbon duplicate
Yes.
of the animated one, which is a
Mhm.
common complaint with everybody, and they're just like, oh, why are you remaking movies? And the news for people is they've been remaking movies forever here,
Yeah.
not just Disney but everybody.
Yep.
But Disney's live action films, at least the last couple, have been very, very beat for beat the same as the animated version. Now, this one in particular, no music, no Mushu, but also like it is the spirit of Mulan, like the original Disney animated one, but they take their own liberties of creating their own characters, own events,
Mhm.
different settings of battles, and all this other stuff. It wins big points in my mind to try something different than
Mhm.
just copying something that you know already works.
Yeah, I totally agree with you actually. I like the changes that they made. Of course, based off of what I can remember from the
Yeah.
animated version. But I thought that the things that they did differently worked really, really well for a live action movie.
Yeah, and like they definitely borrow aspects of like to just to be like, oh yeah, we remember the original. Like there'll be like they're Mulan's getting ready and putting makeup on for the matchmaker, or there's the scene where her father is trying to be brave and like step up to the
Yeah,
soldier handing him the scroll and stuff like that, and he falls down a little bit. Like that's all there. The spirit of Mulan is there, but they
exactly.
definitely try to make it their own, and I think in large sweeps they succeed at it. What did you think about the action of Mulan?
I mean, oh, I am a sucker for action movies, even if they're like bad or not as well filmed, I think. So
Sure, sure.
I did like the action scenes a lot.
Hmm.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
just
What
thinking right now of um like the last fight. I don't know how many spoilers. I guess
we could. I mean, it's not out yet. We can. I mean, like I don't know. Like
I
it's a
feel like
Disney film.
yeah, and I feel like people already know the classic. So
Yeah, yeah. So
so
yeah, let's just say spoilers for people who want to watch Mulan. But we won't go too hard. But yes,
I'll
continue.
try not to go too hard. But yeah, in the last fight where she's fighting for the emperor, I thought that was really really cool. And oh darn it, this I wanted to bring up a scene, but this is definitely a spoiler. So
Oh, okay, okay. Maybe we'll save it for a little bit more discussion and bring it back later,
okay,
and then say
sure.
spoilers, everyone. I would say the fight choreography was very, very good in this movie. It reminded me of old Chinese films, and I'm not saying like I'm a big. I watched a bunch of Chinese films when I was younger. Like I grew up with my mother watching a bunch of those films, and she watched a lot of like people kind of flying through the air and like doing these like crazy flips and like handling swords in really cool ways.
Oh yeah.
And I think at its best, this movie does that, and it's very thrilling to watch. Like I think it's like a really fun. I think the action scenes are beautiful. The cinematography is incredible in this movie.
Yeah. Especially oh, now I'm thinking of I don't remember exactly where in the movie this is, but I think it's when she's like in the water, and or after she comes out of the water and she's next to the lake and she's practicing her is it was it her sword fighting, or when she was
Yeah, like she's just
like,
using her sword or whatever.
yeah,
Yeah.
and then it juxtaposes between like her next to the lake as a man, or pretending to be
Hmm.
a man, and then her in the field back home with her long hair, and she's doing the same moves but with a stick instead. Like
Right.
that was that was so beautiful.
That was very good. This is how good we are at describing stuff on the show. Oh, yummy. No, no. Wit, I think like it's interesting to me because a big movie difference, and I guess this is spoilers in some senses, is that in this movie they kind of explain Mulan as not just a person who's just loyal, true, and brave, which is huge in this movie. They
Mhm.
always talk about honor, which like I'm going to jump a little bit. Like some people are like, oh, they're only talking about honor. What a friggin' thing that Western people always think Chinese people always value and stuff, which I think is like annoying in some senses, I guess. Like the original movie was like that too, where they always talked about honor. So like I had no problem with them bringing up honor like a million times. That's just a thing in Mulan.
Yeah.
Like I get it. I totally get if you're like, okay, I'm Chinese and we don't talk about honor in my family. I get that. But like the original Mulan always talked about honor. So like, what are you surprised about here? What are you angry about?
Mhm.
Um, I think I lost my train of thought a little bit, but I'm going to go into the. Oh, I remember now. Mulan in this movie has like a magical power. It's almost like the Force. Would you agree? It's called
Well, I
Chi.
never watched Star Wars, but chi is not a new concept though, I
No,
think.
but in Mulan it is. This
Mm,
is new. Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, in the original Mulan, she wasn't like a hidden power that she just like unleashed. Like in this one, it's like she has this. Let's just call it the Force. She has like this magical power that she's told you have to like suppress because you're a woman, and it gets kind of slowly released through the movie. And some people really hated that. I'll say, like, I think it worked for this movie, honestly. You have Gong Li, who plays the witch in this movie, who goes through a similar. She's not in the original movie, the
Mhm.
animated
She's
one. So
not.
this person has like a similar story, which I think the whole point of Mulan is to show like the power of women and like how powerful and as strong as men they are.
Mhm.
And I think with the whole chi force, whatever you want to call it, on top of the whole witch story, which is like the I don't know, the reverse bad guy version of Mulan's story in this movie. I think they did a really good job of handling that part of it.
So that's actually interesting, Tongue, because you describe it as the Force, and maybe
Mm-hmm.
it's because, like you said, I haven't watched the original Mulan, but when they brought up the part about um her having chi and like using it in battle and having to suppress it and stuff, I don't
Mm-hmm.
see it as like a secret superpower. Like I really think that chi is um it's like an essence, I guess, or like
Yeah, I
it's
see
it's
what you mean.
it's energy, and I think that energy is released when you're in tune with your true self. So it makes sense that, or at least to me, like as Mulan, progressed through the movie, she obviously was trying to hide her true self from
Right.
like the people in her village, and then she was trying to hide her true self obviously when she went to fight in the war, because she
Yeah.
was not even like she was pretending to be a man, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
as the movie goes on and she realizes, I can't do this, I can't continue to hide that I'm a woman, and also I don't want to, right?
Right.
And
Yeah.
that's when her chi, like, that's when she really starts to take full control over, I guess, like her quote unquote powers.
Right. I think that's a really good point. I think both statements are true. I think I completely agree with what you're saying. I just think Mulan in this story had like let's just say an innate stronger chi than everybody else in this movie, to a sense that like Donnie Yen,
Mhm.
who I freaking love, the commander was like, Mulan, you have such a strong chi. I like your chi. It's so good. I'm doing a terrible Donnie Yen, but everybody is like just gushing about how her chi is like a step over everybody
I
else's. That's why I
I
call it
guess
more like,
so, but
yeah,
I feel like, I mean, it's kind of like, I don't know what to call this trope, but I mean, you see it in like other TV shows and movies all the time too, right? Like the main character has, well, I guess they have main character syndrome, but
yeah,
like
main
it's,
character powers.
yeah, it's like something unique that they have, something within them that is, it's not easy to replicate, and
Yeah,
it um like s- unconsciously, subconsciously, and consciously attracts other people, right? Both good and bad
right.
attention. And I think that's what Mulan has too. It's not necessarily like, not to downplay her abilities or anything,
Mm-hmm,
but
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I think the fact that she has this essence inside her, instead of it being regarded as like some supernatural superpower or anything, that just means it like speaks to her character.
Sure, and I don't think the force is like I mean, you can say the force and the chi are they're the same. Like they're not superpowers. They're just like I don't know. You can explain it all by like wishy washy words, like the balance and like the reflection of your true self and being in tune with like energy
Right.
surrounding like all this stuff. And it just you're right about the main character syndrome of just like this person just has like I don't know. Theirs is just better than everybody else's once they control it, I guess, you know?
Yeah, but that's why they're the main
Yeah,
character, right?
exactly, exactly. I really also liked in this movie that like it has a killer Asian cast. Like we have, uh, I will get flack for this, but like Liu Yifei, who plays Mulan, I think did a really great job. But we'll talk about the other stuff in a second.
Yeah.
I have to put an asterisk on there because I feel like I just have to. It's a knee jerk reaction. Donnie Yen, Jet Li, Gong Li, who played the witch, I think she did an amazing job.
Hmm.
Jason Scott Lee, who played Bori Khan, Sima, who's been in a lot of movies. He played the father, and I really liked his performance as the father in this
Hmm.
movie. Yeah, he had a bigger role than the father in the original one.
Yeah, I was so surprised when I learned that Jet Li was in this movie because,
Me too.
yeah, he's so unrecognizable. And usually he's the one who's in the fight scenes and stuff, but this time he played the Emperor and he
I
did.
know it's insane because everybody like at the very end of the movie, I'm like Jet Li. What
Yeah,
did
my
I
sis
did
and
I?
my dad were like that too. They were like, we don't remember seeing Jet Li.
Right, right. Yeah. So, and then like in retrospect, you're like, oh, of course that's Jet Li, but you're like, shouldn't you be like kicking and punching right now? I don't know. There's two things I want to talk about before we get into the big stuff, which is the music in the actually I'll talk about this because you don't remember the original. The music in this movie is very it's not a musical, which I think is better for it. I think if they started breaking out into song in this movie, would have been weird. Would you agree?
I totally agree. I mean, I remember the songs, Tongue, or at least
Well,
the
I
more iconic ones.
sure. Let's get down to business. Defeat the Huns. I
Yeah,
know.
and then of course, I don't know the title,
Reflection.
but yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, I remember all the songs. Mulan is hands down my favorite or top three Disney animated classics of all time. I truly fucking loved Mulan, and I love the music, and I loved Mushu. But having Mushu or the music in this movie would have been the wrong call, and I think they made the right call by, you know, playing like orchestrated music of the original stuff when like the beats really mattered, like playing like a orchestrated version of Reflection, for example. I mean, Christina Aguilera came back and sang Reflection as promo for this movie.
Yeah,
New
she sang it
song.
for the credits.
Yeah, exactly. Loyal, True, Brave, whatever it's called. She
Oh,
sang
that
a
song
new
was
song.
so good.
But yeah, Mushu, that's the biggest thing because somehow people are still like, wait a second, no Mushu in this movie? I'm not watching this movie. How would you feel if Mushu was in this movie?
Um, oh, that's such a tough question because what I remember of the original animated Mulan, like Mushu is definitely such an iconic part of it. And
Oh yeah.
when So it makes sense that like when you think of a reboot or a retelling of Mulan, to not include Mushu sounds just unthinkable, right? But
Right.
I think I think that maybe the genre of the live action Mulan is different from the animated.
Hmm.
And if they included Mushu, it totally would have changed what the genre of the live action is.
Yeah, that's basically what I came down to. Like,
Mhm.
if you had Mushu in this movie, he would appear in this movie like a phoenix keeps appearing, and Mushu would appear like that, but it wouldn't be your sassy dragon that is voiced by Eddie Murphy kind of thing, you know?
Yeah,
It would just be like a symbol more than anything. And I think people would have been more upset with that.
yeah.
I
I
think about Iago in Aladdin, the live action Aladdin, which Iago in the animated version of Aladdin was a sassy parrot, but in the live action doesn't talk.
yeah.
And I was like, well, that's kind of weird.
Mhm.
And I think Mushu would have been like that in this movie.
Yeah, I agree. I think having Mushu would have disappointed more people than not having him.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Okay, wait. I don't want to spend too long on this because it's already giving me like a headache thinking about this stuff. I think there is huge controversy on Mulan,
Yes, there
and you might have heard some of this.
I have heard a
Now,
lot.
you've heard a lot.
Yeah.
I'm going to give you the high level version of this, um, and we can talk about it, but we don't have to. I'm not sure if we're the most qualified people to talk
We
about
are
this.
definitely not the most qualified people to talk about this.
I also appreciate that you're on this episode too, because I was like, I want to hear also a fellow Asian's perspective on this. I know, we're Canadianized, all this stuff, but at the same time, I wouldn't want to talk about this stuff with anybody else right
Yeah,
now, I think.
for sure.
Uh,
And I'm glad
so,
that I was invited to take part in this episode. So thanks, Tung.
Yeah, you're welcome, Wit. But I will like to preface that I really did like Mulan. I think it's not a perfect movie. I think it's still the best live action Disney film I've seen. I had a really good time with it. But here are the things that can deter people. And, it is up to you how you view this type of stuff. But let's just give you the information. So this one's not new, but it definitely came back under fire when the movie released, and that's the main actress Liu Yifei, who plays Mulan. She's an American citizen, but she works primarily in mainland China. She got a glamorous career over there, being dubbed as the new four Dan actresses of China, so like a big title over there. Um, Anyways, she wrote something essentially as a tweet that said, "I support Hong Kong police." In like the big climax of last year, and this is an ongoing problem, but like when things were very very heated with Hong Kong police, and that was all over the news all the time besides COVID, she basically said, Hong Kong police, I support you. And people who don't know, Hong Kong police was, let's just say, beating up and really hurting people like their fellow citizens who were trying to stand up for what they believe in and that kind of
Yeah.
stuff. So huge backlash there. And then that's when boycott Mulan started happening. I want to give people some context, though. This is what I read, although the lines are so
Blurry.
blurry that I don't know where I land on this. I really, really, at this point, just try to separate the artist from the art. I
Mhm.
try to do this in this case. But anyways, they're saying that, like many Chinese stars, if they were to oppose the Chinese government, they would be in danger of being blacklisted by the government and being prevented from working again in the country if they don't abide by the government's strict censorship laws. The only thing is that Liu Yifei did not seem to be, at least on the outside, to be actually, um, you know, pressured by the government, and it seemed like she said it under her own volition, which is like, oh, like I don't know how I feel. uh yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, like, let me preface this by saying that I'm a very strong supporter of the protesters in Hong Kong.
Me too, me
Yeah.
too, I
And
agree.
I have even though I was born and raised in Canada, I've only been back to Hong Kong once for a very short period of time, but I do have friends and family that live there. Um, so yeah, very, very much in support of the Hong Kong protesters. But at the same time, I am a person who gives the benefit of the doubt as well.
Right.
And yes, the Chinese government has done some very shitty and questionable,
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
and I am not giving the benefit of the doubt to them. But I do recall that there was another Chinese actress. Her name is Fan Bingbing, and she became, well, she was famous in the West before too, but the biggest thing that happened recently with her that made headlines was, despite how famous she is, she vanished off the face of the earth for like 6 months
Oh my God.
because of the Chinese government.
Whoa.
Yeah.
So they
So,
just like hit her kind of thing? Like I don't what did they what happened? Like do you know?
like, well, I based off of what I remember, because it's been a while since I read the article, I think the article was published in Vanity Fair. That was the article I read. Um, yeah, so
Hmm.
based off of what I remember, she was, what's that word for like when you like tax fraud?
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah, that's
basically
definitely a word.
she had a contract in the States for a movie, and she underreported the amount of money that she was making, and then
Yep, that's tax fraud.
someone leaked the full amount, and then the Chinese authorities were at her door, and then after that she went silent on social media, and
Oh wow.
no one knew what happened to her, and she only reemerged after, yeah, I think 6 months, and even after that she didn't really talk a lot about what happened.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so it's a different world over there. I'm not going to pretend I know what it's like to be let's say pressured. I was gonna say bullied, but I really don't know. I don't want to pretend I know the Chinese government. It's a very complicated situation where I think my westernized brain doesn't actually fully understand. I will just say that, like on the outside, her supporting Hong Kong police Liu Yifei is a shitty thing for sure. I'm not gonna defend that whatsoever, but I really don't know what's happening on the outskirts of that, and I don't want to. I also want to give the benefit of the doubt too, in a lot of ways. So who knows, right? The other things that are wrong with this movie, like Disney's always been weird about this stuff, underrepresenting Asians and BIPOC everywhere. Is my next news story is basically the other big backlash against this movie is that it has an all Asian cast, which is not the backlash. It's amazing. This is one of the big pluses that I have for this movie. Of course, Mulan will have an all Asian cast, but
We would riot
this
if
is
they didn't.
exactly, and this is why I like Crazy Rich Asians. I love that movie because
Oh, I love that
it's
movie too.
Oh, glad we agree on something. It's great to see my people, I guess I'll say, quote unquote, my people up on the screen and as an all cast. It's nice to see that as a big property. Of course, Mulan was going to be there too. The shitty thing, the backlash is that a lot of this movie was well, it's directed by a white woman, which is controversial. I'm glad a woman was given the reins. I wish it was an Asian woman. She said some weird stuff too. I'm not going to get into that. But like the entire like IMDb crew, most of them are also white people too. So you would have expected them, like much like Black Panther, giving opportunities
Mhm.
for people of color or Asian descent. Instead, it was like, here's the Asian faces of this crew, but everybody else is still largely white people running the show.
Yeah, that was disappointing to learn. I did read that Disney did try to recruit an or sorry, an Asian director. And they spoke to at least two Asian directors, but both of them had to decline.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess that's why they, I don't want to say settle,
Yeah.
that's why things turned out the way they did. But
Right.
I do wish that, well, at the same time, I'm kind of wondering, Tongue, because like you're Asian too.
Yes,
So, and
spoilers, yes.
and like you understand what it was like growing up with Asian parents telling you to not go into the arts. You have to be a
Yep.
doctor or a lawyer or a dentist or
Still not any of these things.
yeah, right? So I actually wonder like how many Asian creatives there even would be.
That's a really good point, Whit. I think you're right. Although I will say that there has to be statistically enough Asian people in the makeup department, production
True.
management,
Yeah,
cameramen. Like I've dabbled in all that stuff, being from a videography background, working on set for some minor productions in my past, and there's definitely our people out there that are working in these businesses.
that is good
But
to
I think
hear.
they're not given the opportunity, and it would have been nice if they were given the opportunity here. So I will not defend this Disney for not giving that to the people, like Asians and stuff like that. um I wish there was more Asian representation behind the camera too, is really what it ends up being. But at the very least, it's nice to see obviously an all Asian cast in
Yeah,
Mulan. Yeah,
absolutely. I would be
my
so
yes.
disappointed if they didn't.
Well, it could be, man, like early 2000s type of thing where like, or even like not that long ago, where there was a movie called The Great Wall. I don't know if you remember this,
Oh
Wit.
my god, I did not watch it, but I remember.
I never watched it either, but the pitch is basically like, oh my God, the Great Wall of China being under attack. And who do we need to save the day?
A white
Matt
man.
Damon. is like, what? Oh my God.
Actually,
Or when they,
you know what's
yeah.
funny? Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you
No,
off.
go ahead, please.
So like after I watched Mulan, I was like really impressed. So I started looking it up on Wikipedia and stuff, and like I looked into what else Liu Yifei has starred in, and I was surprised to see that she also appeared in The Forbidden Kingdom. You
Okay,
remember
I was
that?
just going to talk about this. Yes. Yes. Uh, so
My
yes, she
fault.
did do that. Another one where it's like we got legendary actor and martial artists
Jackie
Jet
Chan
Li and
and
Jackie Chan, and the main character is
and
this
a
white
white
ass
dude.
dude.
I was
What? It's just like what?
it
And
was
he
a
was
good
like the
movie
chosen
except
one.
for the white dude. Anyways,
Yes. Thank you for bringing that up and scarring my memory again. The last controvert, and we can go on and on, but I really don't want this to be like a bash, just downer episode.
yeah.
So, like, I definitely want to cover it. I think it's very important that we're talking about this, especially when it comes to this movie. I want to celebrate what's good about this movie, but there's obviously an asterisk on it. And the other thing is, what I learned today was at the very end of this movie, they thank. I'm going to say this wrong. Xinjiang is the region. Xinjiang, I think it's pronounced. But anyways, it's a huge controversy over there because essentially part of this movie was shot in Xinjiang, and this is China has a clampdown on essentially. Uyghurs, I'm going to say that wrong, Uighurs,
Oh,
and other Muslims specifically. And these people are being oppressed and brutalized
yeah.
and basically tormented and treated like frankly shit
Yes.
on in this place. And Disney shot some footage there, but also thanked the region too, which makes it look very, very, very bad because you're basically thanking this region. I know you're thanking them for like using their location, but also it's like you're kind of letting them get away with these basic human rights basic human rights for people who, I think everybody should treat each other fairly. I guess
Yeah,
that's the
for
high
sure.
pie in the sky reasoning of this. So they're under a lot of fire right now because of this. What do you think?
I actually did not know about this. This is the first time that I've heard of it. Oh, I've
Oh
heard of
man.
the treatment of Uyghurs and Muslims in China, but I didn't know it was in like that they mentioned the region in the movie.
In the credits.
Oh, in the credits.
Yeah,
Oh,
they credited, like they said special thanks to, and they listed a bunch of regions, and this was one of the regions. Yeah, it's messy, right? So this, not only are they boycotting Mulan because of Liu Yufei, but also because of now this. It's quite a lot to take in for a movie that, was my favorite, or one of my favorite animated movies back in the day. And I really think they did a good job with this. In a vacuum, I liked this movie a lot, but it's so hard to talk about this movie without being like, okay, well, I do know about the other stuff. And like, oh shit, like I feel just really ugh
yeah,
about this movie at the same time.
yeah. I mean, like, I can kind of understand, or like not understand. Not to say that I support what they're doing.
Yeah, yeah.
Definitely do not. But I think it is standard
Hmm.
to like I when you mentioned that they thanked the region, I thought you meant like they actually said it in the movie. But if
No,
it's
no,
just in the
no.
credits, I think that's like a standard thing for films to do. Um,
It is.
Especially if they, I guess, like get like grants or like funding or whatever
Yep.
from those like that region's agencies or whatever, or government. But at the same time, they could have used a different region, I suppose.
Yeah,
So
that's basically what it comes down to,
yeah,
is like they're, of course you want to film some of the movie in China to make it look authentic and whatever, all this other stuff, but it's like this is a very tricky time. I watched a whole John Oliver episode about Uyghurs and Muslims being
yeah,
oppressed and stuff, and it's just like it's rough down there. There's no friggin' bones about it. Like this is not a good time for those people, and they need to
they
be, I don't know, recognized in a way that they're not supporting the government down there that are,
yeah.
doing these things to these people, right?
Hmm.
Yeah, it's a tricky thing, and I'm glad we're talking about it, but it does make me like my head spins whenever I think about this movie. At the end of the day, like probably still going to continue watching this movie, not like on the regular, but I have no problem putting this movie on again, all this other stuff. I definitely want to recognize the faults of this movie, but not to play devil's advocate all the time. But I really think that other movies, maybe smaller movies, other movies in general, have gone through like maybe similar type of stuff, just not under the public lens like Mulan has.
Hmm.
Yeah. I think it's also like, where do you draw the line?
Oh yeah, definitely.
It's like Liu Yufei. She's the main actress in Mulan. Of course, if she writes something that says "I support Hong Kong police," we should take note of that and be rightfully be like, "What? What did you say?" But where do we draw the line, right? Like, what if the stunt person said that? What if like the writer said something like that? Where do we exactly put our eggs in a basket? Like, I don't have an answer for this. I'm just really asking the question. Like, where I've also heard Donnie Yen, who I fucking love seeing on screen. Apparently, he's had some really bad stuff in the past too, and it's like, shit. Like, I don't know. People have done questionable things. I'm just here to watch a movie.
Mm,
Is kind of where I'm at.
yeah. It's hard though because um man, I'm gonna sound like a communist, I guess.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Sure.
I
Sure.
really
Sure.
don't know how to better say this, but
Yeah.
it sucks that like everything is so capitalistic that the only real way to make any change is yeah, to like boycott
Right.
and speak with your money. But
I
at the same time, that's sometimes it feels like that isn't even enough.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure how much boycotting Mulan has actually helped. I respect the people who do it. I truly do. This is not a knock on those people. It's just like, I don't know if that's the right way. I'm not sure. I mean, Twitter was able to change the Sonic the Hedgehog design. Maybe we can
They absolutely did. You're right.
yeah, maybe we can rally together in different ways. I don't know. I don't know. Last thing I want to say, Wit, before we end the episode here, is that you sent me a link for another Mulan movie that I'd never heard about. I really want to, I haven't seen it either, but please, I want you to kind of pitch that to me real quick.
Oh God, I I don't know what it's about.
Okay,
I
I think I know.
I literally saw it on Twitter, and it was actually the tweet was by someone who was boycotting Mulan, I think, or they watched Mulan and they didn't like how it turned out, so they pitched it as um, it's also a live action movie that was released this year or
Hmm.
last year, and it's a Chinese version of the Ballad of Mulan.
Right, right.
So I
And it's much more dark and
yes,
serious, it sounds like.
it is way darker. It is not meant for kids. It is not
Hmm.
Disney level. It is. I think they're more realistic.
Sure, yeah. At the end of the day, the new Mulan movie, like they do some cool Asian stuff, but it's definitely for
It's still a
kids.
Disney film.
Chinese, you know what I mean? Like it's definitely westernized.
Yeah, that's what I've heard too. That um, the Disney Mulan live action, it was like made for Western audiences.
Definitely, yeah. I think Disney said something like that too. Mm. But the new Matchless Mulan, it looks good. Like it's all on YouTube. The full movie is there. There's subs. It's in Chinese. It's done by people who understand the source material. They don't pull their punches. They don't. I haven't seen it. I haven't seen it, but I've heard good things. So there you go.
And they will
It's
also have a full Asian cast behind the camera. I
there.
hope.
I I would hope so. That's just all white people. It's like, wait, this was filmed in China. How did this happen? All right, everyone. Well, that's Mulan. At the end of the day, I think Wit and I. Well, I don't want to speak for you, Wit, but at least for me, I really did like this movie. Will I watch it again? Probably. Will I be questionable about the things that happen around it? Yes. I don't know where I land, and I think that's okay. So people who boycott Mulan, there's nothing against that. I think it's all very valid stuff. But I would say if you want to watch this movie, at least just try to watch it with the lens of someone just trying to enjoy a movie. And then you can make your decision from there. Would you agree with any of that?
Um, well, I'm usually I like to think of myself as an upstanding citizen, but
Mm-hmm.
I think the thing with boycotting is that it only works if everyone does it and if everyone is like vocal about it. So
Right.
I think I would feel guilt if I actually paid the 30 bucks to watch Mulan. I will not be paying 30 bucks to watch it again.
Well, yeah. Like you don't watch movies a second time anyway, so you're a really big outlier. Even Sonic the Hedgehog, you didn't watch that. You were very excited for that movie when you never watched it again, right?
Well, I would watch it again, but I'm not willing to pay 30 bucks to watch Sonic.
There you go. There you go. See, you're a very different outlier, but I definitely see your
I
point.
guess so, but I think my point is, yeah, if you can watch Mulan without supporting Disney financially, then by
Hmm.
all means, you should do it and watch it, like you said, um, while separating the artist from the art.
Yeah.
But otherwise, you do you. If and if that if where you draw the line is not paying Disney to get access to it, then I fully support you.
Yeah, I agree that. Like obviously I paid, sorry, we paid for it, but like this was a movie I was going to watch anyways out of curiosity, out of everything that's happened. I just needed to see what this movie was being delayed all this time based on my favorite animated movie for Disney, based on all the controversy. It's just one of those things that just became this huge curiosity in my mind. And I'm glad I did it, but I totally get not wanting to give money to the big man and stuff. I always feel kind of gross with that. But hey, here we are. We both watched Mulan in a vacuum. I think we both liked it. So here we go. Which can you give me your rating of Mulan on your own arbitrary scale?
On my own arbitrary scale,
If you need
uh,
help, how many Mushus is this movie?
that doesn't help. I would say, oh, I have an immature answer, but
Yes, please, please.
I would give it a 69 out of 420.
Okay, you heard it here, everyone. 69 out of 420. There's no Mushu in this scale. Completely cut, just like in the live action film, completely gone from the narrative. But hey, that's okay. 69 out of 420. It's a pretty raunchy score we gave it here. Whit, thank you so much for joining us here on Talking Tongue. We talked for quite a while. It's longer than most episodes here, but I'm glad we got deep into the discussion.
I'm glad too, but man, now that I think about it, there are other things I want to discuss about it too.
I know. I feel like we can go on forever, but I just it's just so much to talk about with this movie. There is. That's why I wanted to start with celebrating it first. But anyways, Whit, thank you so much for being on Talking Tongue this week. Can you give the people at home some plugs, where to find you, what you do, something to keep them happy?
Oh gosh. Well, first of all, thank you, Tongue, for having me.
Mm-hmm.
That's the first and last time I'll thank you for anything. No, I'm kidding.
We'll see.
That's my part. No, I'm kidding. I mean, you guys can Facebook friend me.
What?
I
Wait,
love making friends.
don't you? You can definitely Facebook friend her, but I thought you had a little birdie said you had something called a fan fiction
Lol, please.
place to find you. I would say you should plug it up if you want, of course.
Yeah, of course. I am working on a Breath of the Wild fanfic. It's gonna be good, I hope.
I'm sure it'll be fantastic.
And you can find it on my Archive of Our Own profile, which is just Winnie, WHINNIE. And you can also follow my cat on Instagram. Handle is Charmongus, which is short for Charlie the Chungus.
I love it.
Yeah.
Freaking love it.
And feel free to give me a follow on Instagram too.
Be Whitney's Facebook friend. Be her Instagram friend. Follow her cat. Follow her. And make sure to subscribe to her fan fiction or check all her stuff out. She's been working very hard on this Breath of the Wild stuff. I'm sure it'll make lots of teenagers horny. I don't know. All right, well, Whit, thank you so much for being on the show once again. For me, you can find the rest of the shows in the PodCavern at www.podcavern.com. Lots of shows there. We'll see you next week on another episode of Talking Tongue. Whit, before we go, you want to give everyone your famous catchphrase?
There are free fries at McDonald's.
Bye, everyone. That's true. There is. Bye.